Okay, so good day all. So today we are going to look at the concept of cell structure and function. So when we say cell is the structural and the functional unit of life. So everything in life that is living, it depends on the presence and the well functions of the cell. So it means that if there is no cell, so there is no life. So cell is the fundamental aspect of life, is a fundamental unit of life. So if there is no cell, there is actually a problem of life. And if there is a problem with cell, there is going to be also a problem. That is, there will be a disease. So in this class, actually, we are going to look at the concept of cell from beginning to the end because the course is all about cytology. And when we say cytology, it means the study of cell and its function. So now we are going to start with the biology itself. What is biology? Biology is one of the branches of science that deals with the study of living things or that deals with the study of life. But what is life? And how does it mean to be alive? Life can only be defined by a list of properties. What does that mean? Actually, it is very difficult to define life and dates. Life and date become very difficult to be defined because life is a process. It's a process. So there is no single definition that you can use to define life, or that you rather use some list of properties uh, to actually describe life. And these properties include number one, we have organization, metabolism, homeostasis, growth, reproduction, response, and evolution. So these are the properties of life. So if you have anything that possesses all these properties, it means that that thing is having life because it is very difficult. It becomes very, very difficult to define life. So let us start with the organization. Of course, the organization of life started with a cell. And these cells, as we described, it is actually divided into unicellular and multicellular. And these unicellular organisms is actually, you will need to understand this. The life itself, that the life you are seeing, the life we knew, it actually started from atom. It started from atoms, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur. These are the atoms that started with life. For example, if you have generally what happened, as I said, the life started from atoms. So if you have carbon, you have hydrogen, you have oxygen, you have, let's say, sulfur, you have nitrogen and many other elements. So this kind of atoms join to produce what you call a molecule. And this molecule, example of the molecules that actually produce from this, it can be the oxygen itself, oxygen gas, oxygen molecule. It can be hydrogen molecule. It can be hydrogen molecules. It can be CO2. So these smaller molecules also further rearrange themselves to produce what you call monomers. They further rearrange themselves to produce what you call monomers. An example of monomers, we have something like, example of monomers, we have something like amino acids. Example of monomers, e.g., we have AA. AA stand for amino acids. We have glucose. Glucose is also example of monomers. We have fatty acid and glycerol. They are also example of monomers. And then from the monomers, we have what we call macromolecules. The word macro means bigger molecules. So it means that it is monomers that further rearrange themselves, is these monomers that further rearrange themselves through what they call a condensation reaction, to produce macromolecules. And of course, in living organisms or in human being or in any life organisms, we have four major macromolecules. And these four major macromolecules that are produced from monomers, we have what we call nucleic acids. We have nucleic acids. Nucleic acid is an example of macromolecules. It's one of the examples of macromolecules, nucleic acid. And examples of nucleic acid also we have DNA and RNA. These are the two major, or these are the two nucleic acid we have. We have DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid, and we have RNA, which is ribonucleic acid. And from this also, another examples of macromolecules, we have carbohydrates. We have carbohydrates. We have carbohydrates. Carbohydrate. And examples of carbohydrates, we have something like glycogen and starch. Glycogen and starch, cellulose, they are all examples of carbohydrates. And these are the second order examples of macromolecules. And then apart from this, we also have lipids. We also have lipids. Lipid is formed by the condensation of fatty acid and glycerol. Of course, for the nucleic acid, the monomers are nucleotides. And for the carbohydrates, it's simple sugars. Then the monomers there is also protein. In the monomers of proteins, we have the monomers of proteins, we have amino acids. Amino acids are the monomers of proteins. So ladies and gentlemen, I think from here you can understand that, okay, from atoms, which is smaller atoms will form a molecules, and from molecules, they will form a monomers. An example of monomers, we have fatty acid and glycerol, we have amino acid, we have simple sugars like glucose, then we have macromolecules, and examples of four macromolecules. These are the major four macromolecules that are found in live organisms, which is DNA, which is nucleic acid. And examples of this nucleic acid, we have DNA and RNA. Then we have carbohydrate. Example of carbohydrate, we have glycogen and starch. Then we have lipids, and then lastly we have proteins. So, okay, then these macromolecules also, the next thing, when these macromolecules rearrange themselves, using non-covalent interaction, you should get it. Using non-covalent interaction, what are the examples of non-covalent interaction? We have hydrogen bonding, we have hydrophobic interaction. We have hydrogen bonding, we have hydrophobic interaction, we have van der Waals force of attraction, we have electrostatic force of attraction. These are the non-covalent forces. So these non-covalent forces rearrange through the rearrangement of macromolecules using non-covalent forces, they will form what we call supramolecular complexes. They will form what we call supramolecular complexes. And examples of supramolecular complexes, we have examples of supramolecular complexes. And what are those examples of supramolecular complexes? The example of supramolecular complexes, of course, we have virus. Virus is an example of supramolecular complexes. And second, after virus, we also have prions. Prions is also an example of supramolecular complexes. In fact, even the ribosomes of the cells is also examples of supramolecular complexes. We also have cytoskeleton. Skeleton is also another example of supramolecular complexes. So because virus is actually, it does not reach the levels of cell, it does not reach the level of cells. That is why virus is considered as non-living organisms. It's a non-living organism, because remember from your basic biology that any organisms below that it cannot sustain life. So that is why virus is not considered as a complete living organism. Rather, it's considered as an obligate intracellular parasite, meaning that it cannot survive on its own until when it actually get another cell and survive it. So it can only survive when it's actually, or it's only considered as a living when it is actually infect another cells, because they are using the machinery of that host cell. They are using the machinery of those host cells for them to survive. So virus is considered as a non-living organisms because it is only reached the level of supramolecular complex. It did not reach the level of the cells. And of course, this after the supramolecular complexes, the next thing is organelles of the cell. The next thing is organelles of the cell, and after organelles of the cells is the cells itself. Of course, when we say organelles of the cells, it means that we are talking about uh, mitochondria, nucleus, ribosomes, lysosome, Golgi bodies. So it means that the organs of the cell started from atoms. Then from atoms, we have molecules. From molecules, monomers, we have macromolecules. Then we have supramolecular complexes. Then the organs of the cells. Then after the organs of the cell, then the cell itself. And after the cell, of course, some organisms have only one cell and some have more than one cell. So in human being, we have multicellular organisms. Why is it that we are multicellular organisms? Because we have so many cells. And of course, it has been known that in living organisms or in human being, we have over 37, we have over 37.2 trillion cells. We have over 22.2 trillion cells. These are the number of cells that we have averagely in humans, in average human beings. So it means that if we're looking at this number of cells, it means that we have huge cells. We have huge cells. Our cells are huge. Although apart from the number of cells, we also have specialization of cells. We have some specialized cells. We have different cell types in human. Like in human being, the different cell types, we have over 220 different cell types. Over 220 different cell types. When we say different cell types, it means that different cell types. Like for example, we have liver cells, it's the cell types of it is on. We have brain cells, we have like brain cells is called neurocyte, we have hepatocyte, liver cells, we have myocyte, the muscle cells, we have so many of them. So in the human, we have throat and tongue cells that are different cells that are found in the eyes. So nephrocyte, the cells that are found in the kidney. So all these are the different cell types that are found in the human. And apart from that, the next thing is metabolism. Metabolism is actually the order organization of life, because when we say metabolism, it means that the sums of biological reactions that are taking place in the body. When you sum all the biological reactions that are taking place in the body, that is what we call metabolism. So like in human being, we have like about 1,300 enzymes. So since we have 1,300 enzymes and each enzyme is responsible for catalyzing one type of reaction, so that means that we have about 1,300 reactions that are taking place in the human body. So with that, we will understand that what are enzymes? Of course, we need to also, although as we are going to shout a lot on enzymes, as we know that enzymes are biological molecules that speed a lot of the biological reactions. In this case, metabolism is divided into two. We have catabolism and anabolism. So catabolism is always breaking down. We break down a large molecule into smaller ones. So in the process of breaking down this large molecule into smaller ones, usually energy is being generated. Energy is generated. We usually generate ATP. So it means that in catabolism, you break down large molecules into smaller ones, and ATP, which is energy, is usually produced in catabolism. Then in anabolisms, you are using smaller molecules. If you look at it here, you understand that in this case, look at it, we are talking about smaller molecules. These are the smaller molecules, and the joints themselves produce a complex one. And the complex one is called polymer, and the smaller molecules are called monomers. So, but in the process of anabolism, usually energy is being obtained. So there is uptake of energy. It means that for the macromolecules or for the larger molecules to be produced, energy is being needed or is needed to activate those smaller molecules for them to jump. And then the next thing after metabolism is homeostasis. Every living organism must maintain or must control and regulate the internal environment. Because in some cases, like for example, in human being, we have a normal body temperature is like 7 degrees centigrade, which is controlled by the hypothalamus. We know that hypothalamus is what actually control the body temperature, because in the hypothalamus we have what we call thermostat. So it's what actually sets the temperature of our body to be within 37 degrees centigrade, meaning that if the temperature is actually goes down or high, so it has to actually come back to that 37 degrees centigrade. So the maintenance of these internal parameters or of this internal environment using the different mechanisms is called homeostasis. And the next thing is growth. Every living organism must grow. Every living organism must grow. Each and every living organism must grow. And then what is growth? It's actually permanent, irreversible It's a permanent increase in size, permanent increase in size. And of course, this growth is actually depend on the types of the cell. Some cell, or like for example, in human being, we grow because we have increase in number of cells. So as our number of cells increases, then we are growing. Although we have some organs in our body that actually when we are growing is not based on the increase in the number of cells, rather increase in size of cell, like heart cell and the brain cells. They are the types of cells that will only grow because they are actually increasing in size. So it means that the number of cells that we were born in our kidney cells, sorry, in our brain cells and the heart cells are the same number of cells as we age. As a reproduction, every living organism reproduce. And the response to response to external stimuli. Whenever there is any danger or anything, or even anything positive, so we have to respond to it. And then the next is evolution. So generally, living organisms change with time, but over a long period of time. Like for example, if you know the number, or if you know the human being that we have in life, although like let me just say this, the first living organisms that, or the first human being that came to exist on Earth is about 400,000 years ago. The first living organism that exists on Earth, the first living organism that came to exist on Earth is about 3.9 billion years ago. So as the time goes on, a lot of living organisms are being evolved, and now we have human, and now we have like billions diverse of different diversity of life. There are over 500, there are over 5 billion living organisms that are currently on Earth, and some actually become extinct. That is why remember we have extinct organisms, we have endangered species, and we have also speciation. Some living organisms exist on Earth because the environment don't need them, because our environment don't need them, they are not longer exist. They are now eliminated. They are completely eliminated as a result of maybe some catastrophic, or as a result of some disasters. So they are all now eliminated. And we have endangered. Endangered species, it means that our species that are still living, but they are actually trying to attain extinct states. Well, we have very few of them. It means that they are not completely eliminated. And then we have speciation. Because the environment is currently in need of some other species of organism, that is why they are evolving. So the process of producing new species to exist on Earth is what we call speciation. So ladies and gentlemen, this is just the concept of biology. Biology is the study of life, and what is life? It is very difficult to define life, but you have to some parameters that will help you to actually identify or to define this life. So I think from this point, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to understand that life is starting from atoms. Carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, these are the atoms that we started with. Okay, so thank you for this. I'm going to also introduce another video for the cell, but this one is live, so how to get it. Okay.